Hello, and welcome to Episode 5 of The Devil House of Duskvale. My name is Ian, and I will be your narrator for today. "Oh, fuck!" Bert exclaims as he stares down the stairs. At the bottom, a woman, dressed all in black. Lady Castellanter, the owner of the mansion, and the source of its infernal curse. "Just keep it calm." Kosef gestures for the gnome to stay back. Beside them, Laylan puts on a forced smile and waves down to where Serial and Ragnar stand on one side of the foyer. Serial waves back up to him. "Hey guys, come down. I want you to meet somebody." Reluctantly, the group starts to descend the stairs. "She's just come to check up. This is Amelia Castellanter. She's our employer." "Ah, nice to meet you." "Hello, ma'am." Kosef gives a small bow. Amelia doesn't react. "Lovely place you got here," Laylan says, looking around the dusty, cobwebbed foyer, a stiff smile still plastered on his face. "Ma'am, we've discovered some terrible creatures in this house. Now, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, but I don't think it's safe for you to be in here." "Yeah, I'd really recommend you head back to the city." Kosef gestures to Serial and Ragnar. "Our companions here will take you back. Keep a guard on you, isn't that right, boys?" "I think I'll be all right," Amelia says, face empty of expression. "I just want to sit in my study and read." "Ma'am, we'll come with you. Make sure nothing creepy jumps out at you." "I can take Serial and Ragnar, unless, of course, you really think I need protection." Yeah, we do. We should come too." "Yes." "All of us?" "Yes." Vinberger nods. "We just want to make sure that the room is clean." "Your safety is of paramount concern." Amelia looks Kosef up and down. "All right. Thank you. I appreciate it." Without waiting for the party's lead, Lady Castellanter turns and strides down the left hallway to the study. She enters the dark wooded room and settles herself at the black desk, where the group had found the sigil of Asmodeus the day before. She takes a notebook, bound in black leather, out from a pocket in her dress, as well as a black and red feathered quill. She flips open the notebook and begins to scratch letters onto the paper. Laylan peers over her shoulder, trying to make out what she's writing, but Amelia notices and shields it from his gaze. The elf can tell, however, in the brief glance he gets, that she was writing an infernal. Kosef sniffs the air in the room, just to make sure that she does indeed smell intensely evil. And she does, although the book she's carrying is even more so. Furthermore, the paladin notes that Amelia isn't writing in ink. Her well is made from the same glass as the sacrificial daggers, and the tip of her pen is red with blood. At the same time, Vinberger eyes Serial and Ragnar, trying to determine if they've been charmed or influenced in some way. He can't quite confirm it, because he rolled terribly on his insight check, but they do seem awfully eager to serve the lady. Bert, on the other hand, with his deep knowledge of the arcane, is able to confirm the Goliath's suspicions that they are, indeed, charmed. "We'll just step out into the main foyer for a moment," Vinberger says, walking towards the door. "Yeah, we'll be out here if you need us." "Very well," Amelia says without looking up. "I think that I have enough protection, if you all want to get back to doing whatever it is you are doing." Without hesitation, the group turns and leaves the study, closing the door behind them. They start down the hall, calmly at first, but a sudden anxiety begins to nip at their heels, and they enter the foyer at a jog. Kosef closes the hall door behind them, and they all let out a pent-up breath. "Okay, boys, so the good news is she has him charmed, so she's probably not gonna kill him, so that's a good thing." Kosef nods and then glances up the stairs. "Let's make sure Terenzio doesn't come out of Ellie's room and catch this lady by surprise." The paladin starts to make his way up to the second floor, followed by the others. At the top of the stairwell, he gives one brief glance down into the foyer, and, Amelia being nowhere to be seen, he pushes the door to Ellie's room open. Inside, the young girl and Terenzio are still talking. Terenzio is, in fact, now sitting in the circle with her. His face is stained with tears, but happy tears. Laylan and Vinberger enter behind Kosef, while Bert keeps watch at the stairs. "Terenzio, Ellie," the paladin begins, somewhat hesitant. The brother turns his head to the door. "Yes?" "I have
Bad news. You're going to have to be ready. Your mother is here. She's in the study, and she seems to have enchanted our fellow men, ready to fight against us, although I would prefer that it not come to that.
Trenzio's eyes widen at the mention of his mother. She can't see me. She can't know I'm here.
She may come up here. Is there any place she can hide?
There are plenty of armoires and closets I could hide in. The tailor's room, maybe? Not the nursery, though. Not there.
Why don't you just hide in your own room? Just because there's the least chance of a devil appearing in there.
And your mother might actively avoid it, since it's the purest room in the house.
At these words, Trenzio nods and turns to his sister. Ellie, I'll be right back. Don't worry. I won't let her see you. I won't let her hurt you. I'm here for you.
Hey, same for this guy here,
Laylan says, nodding towards Trenzio.
Honorary brother right here.
Trenzio gives a quick thanks and leaves the room. Across the hall, they hear the door to his bedroom open and close. A moment later, Ellie's form vanishes from the rug, leaving the four adventurers alone in the bedroom. There's a moment of silence, and then Kosef speaks.
Okay, so how bad of an idea would it be if we just ran in and tried to kill her? Catch her by surprise.
That'd be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd recommend an ambush. I say we set a trap.
We do have an hour before sunset. Just a suggestion, but what do you say that we try to find the 4th floor before she can get there?
But how do we get to it? We don't know where the secret passage is.
We could go through the outside.
Yes, Laylan could jump onto the roof. See if there's a way in, and there should be fireplaces regardless. We might be able to go down a chimney.
Well, as you say, we've got an hour. Let's explore.
I'm not going down a chimney, bro.
Well, then we can at least send Bert's homunculus down, and it might be able to spy out the secret passageway to the rest of the house.
The group members nod to each other, decided, and make their way back through the servants' quarters to the backyard, keeping a careful eye on the boarded windows for anyone who might be peeking through. But there are no watchers to be seen. The group clusters together, staring up at the towering wall of the manor above them. Bert points a finger, and Bart, the small, mechanical bird perched on his backpack, spreads its wings and takes off into the sky, soaring over the manor and scanning the roof. As expected, there are a number of chimneys, but most importantly, Bert, watching through Bart's eyes, notes a large skylight near the back of the house. It seems perfectly aligned with the red-tinted moon just starting to appear on the horizon. It's about 45 minutes till nightfall. Bart circles back down and lands on Bert's pack, and the gnome relays his findings to the rest of the party.
Perhaps we should smudge up the observatory glass in some way. I'm thinking that whatever the mother's planning, it must have something to do with the moon.
Yeah, but does anyone have paint, though?
How about we just break it? Smash through the window.
That might be too loud.
Okay, but what's she gonna do? Try and kill us before the sun goes down? That's exactly what we want.
Oh, true enough.
Laylan grins and cracks his knuckles before casting jump and scaling the side of the building in a matter of seconds. He walks across the shingles to the observatory skylight and brings the heel of his boot down on the glass, shattering it on the second hit. With a tumultuous crash, the entire window collapses through the ceiling and breaks apart on the floor beneath. Meanwhile, Bart flies back up to the roof with a rope in its talons. The homunculus ties it firmly around a chimney and drops the other end to the group waiting below. Bert seizes the rope first and scampers up to the roof with ease. Kosef takes second position and starts his climb, but he loses his grip halfway up and falls onto Vinberger climbing the rope beneath him. The Goliath manages to keep his grip on the rope, but takes some bruising from the paladin's heavy armor impacting on his shoulder. A moment later, he too completes the climb, leaving Kosef as the only member of the party not on the roof. The paladin tries and fails a second time to join them, and Laylan finally shouts down to just tie the rope around his waist. The paladin does as asked, and the three on the roof haul him up. A moment later, and the group drops down from the roof through the shattered observatory skylight. They land in a sizable room, and are shocked by just how dark it is. Not because there's anything magic or unusual, but just because no one rolled above a 6 on their perception check. All they can perceive is a large, blank circle, about 5.5 feet in diameter, carved into a slab of stone. A ring of iron and salt, melted into the grooves of the stone, forms a permanent magic circle. A ring of chalk and gold dust surrounds the entire altar. All in all, It's roughly the same size as the circular rugs throughout the house. Beside the circle is a table, covered with scissors, knives, and other sacrificial instruments, even a sword. Kosef walks over to the circle and starts breaking up the chalk markings with his boot. Meanwhile, Vinberger lights a lantern, which illuminates the room, and the Goliath proceeds to roll a natural 20 on a second perception check.
Ah, that's better.
With the newfound light, Vinberger takes note of a sheet of paper lying on the altar. Laylan picks it up.
What's it say?
Bert asks. The elf purses his lips, scanning the parchment.
It's a story. The Wooden Girl.
He starts to read.
The girl's name was Eliza, and she was brought to life in the puppet maker's workshop. Like most girls, Eliza was equipped with limbs, and a face, and of course a heart. The puppet maker, Sophie, crafted Eliza with loving detail. Sophie perched Eliza in the window of the shop, where she would wait and pass the time enjoying the view of the ocean in the distance. On the first morning of midwinter, Eliza looked on through the window, watching the white caps fold over the sea. Snow began to fall, dotting the shop windows and obscuring her vision. Eliza grew sad and wistful. She wanted to leave the shop, and do this she could not. Suddenly, the snowdrops on the glass began to melt. A bright, orange glow filled Eliza's sight. On the other side of the window stood an old man, face shrouded in a torn scarf, holding a candle. Elzarina was fearful, for Sophie had always told her wooden girls must stay away from fire. Sophie told Elzarina, now, not Eliza, about the wooden snake she had crafted as a child. When the snake was brought to life, it slithered towards the hearth seeking warmth. A stray ember ignited the snake, and it withered to ashes. This was not the only warning. Sophie also told Eliza about the set of pickup sticks she had crafted when she was a woodworker's apprentice. Pleased with her work, Sophie rubbed the two sticks together to sand away the splinters, but the friction sparked, and the sticks burnt to cinders. But the man's flame was low on the wick, and he peered at her through the glass. "Little wooden girl, why are you so sad?"
"I wish to see beyond the sea, beyond this pane of glass," she said. "When it snows, the drops blur the window, and I feel trapped."
"What if I took you from your mount?" he said. "Would you like that?"
Elzarina frowned. "My maker warned me not to go outside, for I could get lost. She says little girls like to get lost in big cities." But the man persisted.
"Surely she did not create you to keep you trapped here forever. What if you fetched her a gift for the holiday?"
This filled Elzarina with joy. "Oh yes, I should so love to bring my maker a present, and perhaps I shall get a quick glimpse of the sea." He stepped into the shop and lifted her from her mount. He marched through the city, and she reveled in the freedom. But he strode not to the sea, but towards the city of the dead. It was not the cool blue ocean she eventually saw before her, but a scene awash in gray. Perhaps if she blurred her sight, she could pretend that the feeble sun glinting off the snow-slicked tombstones was the white-capped surface of the sea. But Elzarina knew she had already made a terrible mistake. She suddenly longed for the puppet maker's workshop, for the stoic company of alphabet blocks and sets of dice, and intricately carved spinning tops, and tiny ballerinas who danced but never spoke, like a box. The man wove through the rows of stones, and sat at a circle emblazoned in the ground, an altar unmarked and unnamed. But it had been desecrated already. Elzarina saw the remnants of a fire that once burned, the debris of used tinder. The man pulled away his scarf and greeted her, an evil smile matched by red eyes that glinted with sadistic pleasure. He placed her atop the ashes and pulled a matchbook from his shabby coat pocket. He had the tool, but not the fuel, until he had found the wooden girl in the workshop window, made from the choicest wood for burning. The perfect size for a kindle on a long winter night. The man struck an oiled match tip, and the flame roared to life, a curious gradient of deep navy and violet orange. And as the blue heart of the flame engulfed her, Eliza thought of both the azure sea she would never meet, and the puppet maker's kind, cornflower eyes, and longed for their cool, dousing touch. "Dang." Laylan sets the paper back down and begins to point to a handful of words that were underlined throughout the piece. Elzarina, wooden snake, pickup sticks, City of the Dead, alphabet blocks, circle, and dowsing touch. The group starts to go back through their experiences in the house. They've seen pickup sticks, a snake, and so many circles. But no alphabet blocks, although there would probably be some in the nursery, and they can only guess as to what dowsing touch means. Vinberger looks to the others.
My personal hunch is that the mother has trapped Elzarina's soul in order to give her daughter Elena the true life she can't attain on her own as a devil.
I definitely think that she's using Elzarina as some sort of fuel, the same way the man did in the story.
Laylan draws the group's attention back to the final line. The puppet maker's kind, cornflower eyes, and longed for their cool, dowsing touch. Creator is her father. Old man is her mother?
Potentially. Perhaps we need the father. Terenzio said the mother and father balance each other out.
I don't know. A lot of evil was done while he was still here.
Perhaps we need Terenzio to stand in for the father. Perhaps with your armor, Kosef.
As the Goliath speaks, Laylan notices a ladder in one corner of the room, leading down. He points it out, and Bert investigates, but it's too dark for the gnome to see the bottom. Nevertheless, with the age and general ricketiness of the ladder, they definitely hear someone climbing before they could see them. A soft patter of rain starts up and begins to leak through the broken skylight. Outside, the moon continues to rise, growing the slightest bit deeper red with each passing minute. Meanwhile, Kosef takes the fable from Laylan's hand and examines the ink more closely. He gives it a light sniff, and his divine sense detects evil. It's not blood, but there is definitely an infernal origin to it. The paladin slips the story of the wooden girl into his bag and begins to pick up the smaller instruments on the table. The scissors and needles, anything easily breakable, and he snaps them in two. At the same time, Vinberger begins sweeping the gold dust surrounding the magic circle into a pair of bags to make reforming it that much more difficult. Kosef scoops up the remaining items on the table, the knives and single jagged sword, and hands them to Bart, who flies out through the skylight and drops them into the water basin on top of the shack, where water for the torture hole used to accumulate, a place no one would think to look for them. By the time their manipulations are complete, the night has fully fallen, and the party notes that the light from the moon shines perfectly through the window and onto the magic circle.
Kosef narrows his eyes. What do you all have in your packs? What do you say we just pitch a whole tent on this altar to block out parts of the moon?
Not a terrible idea.
We can hoist them up, try and cover the hole.
He points up to the broken skylight, the ground beneath now slick with rain. Vinberger and Bert consider a moment, and then nod, starting to unpack the tents from their bags. After a moment, Kosef turns to Laylan, expectant, but the elf holds up a hand.
I'm a ranger. We don't use tents.
After about 10 minutes, the group has 2 tents set up on the altar. They improvise a pulley system and heave them up into the air, tying off the twine and leaving the tents dangling from the ceiling, blocking out the moon and stopping its light from reaching the altar. Laylan steps back and admires the group's work.
Now we just need to deal with the mother.
The group descends the ladder in the corner of the room with Vinberger in the lead. At the bottom, the Goliath finds a cramped space behind a small latched panel. He presses an ear against the wood for a moment, listening, but, hearing no sound, the barbarian undoes the latch and pushes the panel open to reveal the master bedroom. He steps out of the secret door and looks back to see one of the paintings on the farther side of the room hanging on a hinge. The other 3 follow him out, and they close the panel behind them. Bart finds a perch near the ladder and keeps watch, ready to spit acid on the rungs if anyone tries to climb it.
So, how are we going to booby-trap her?
Vinberger asks, turning to Laylan.
We need a place we can bottleneck her.
The elf points through the double doors towards where they had fought the hellhounds the previous night.
The hallway. I know a spell called Spike Growth. I could lay it out on the floor and trap her in there, and there's no other way up. Sound like a good idea?
The others nod, although Vinberger is somewhat apprehensive.
My only reservation is we don't know what her plan is, and that makes me nervous.
In that moment, a sudden, frantic voice fills their heads. Ellie's voice.
Please come to my room.
Oh God, oh fuck.
I can't speak to you like this for long. It gets me very tired, but something else just entered the house.
The group thunders down the stairs with Kosef in the lead. They burst into Ellie's room to find her sitting on the ground. When they'd seen her before, her form had looked ethereal and a little wispy. but now it's shaking and unstable, like a signal being corrupted by static. She looks at the group with wide, fearful eyes. Once bright blue, they are now the same fiendish yellow as Elena's. And that's where I'll leave off for today. It's 3 hours till midnight, and time is running out. Infernal magics reach their peak, and Lady Castellanter's moment is near at hand. My name is Ian, and thank you for listening to Episode 5 of The Devil House of Duskvale.